So the way that the box is laid out looks good. The build quality on the main transformer looks good. The build quality on this voltage divider looks good. Everything held up pretty well, and I was pretty forceful on these joints. So it's the quality that you would expect. Not sure exactly where it was made. I would imagine China or something along those lines. I like how they included the power cord already plugged up as well too. A lot of manufacturers include the plug, some don't, but very few actually go ahead and connect it to the transformer. I would imagine they do that as some testing, and as opposed to have some kind of rig set up where it just touches this and then tests all the output. They just go ahead and plug it up and test it with the cord that they ship with. So as you would expect, the door is removable. One thing that is noticeable about the door is it's not grounded. Now, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be. It looks like it has a lug here, but there was no nut on it. It's shiny, so it looks like at some point in time, as opposed to these in here, which are painted, that it had a nut screwed on it, but there's no wire connected to it, which is not that big of a deal. I mean, grounding is pretty important, especially with some of the sensitive equipment that goes on in this. For me, it's not going to be a big deal if I short a camera out or something like that. It's talking about a couple $100 as opposed to an access panel, which is a couple $1,000, and the likelihood of that happening is very, very, very low. So that's to be expected. So having that ground connector on the door would be nice, already included, but this may just be a mistake. So I'll just assume how this is. That's probably supposed to have a ground clamp on there. But the door is removable, just like you would expect. The lock is not knocked out. You have to install that. And it comes with two little screws that go in the side. These housings are exactly how they are on all the other products. Looks like the install will go pretty good. It's a tight fit, but most of these power supplies are. So I'm not going to take the transformer out to mount this. Sometimes when you mount one of these boxes, you'll want to take the equipment out, but the transformer is relatively inexpensive. If you were to damage it, I would say that it's going to be very hard to do considering how it's built, and you just screw two little screws in there, and it's not a likelihood that you'll damage something on here. This is probably something that you would damage before that over there. I'm only going to use 4 of these outputs for cameras, and it looks like they'll hold up to the current draw. Each one of those cameras is 750 milliamps, and it does have some IR on it, so it draws a little bit more current. The output, each one of these outputs have a 3.5 amp fuse. I'm going to use a couple of these outputs for fans. With a load like a motor, it can add some noise into the circuitry, so you may have to isolate it. If you are going to put some motors on here, it could add noise into the transformer and actually go back into the cameras, or it could go into the cameras and show up on screen directly. So I'll worry about that after I get it installed. If I install it and then there's noise on it, I just take the 2 wires out, put it on a 12-volt isolated transformer, and go on with my day. But overall, I think this box is about retail maybe $140, $150. I think Northern's owned by Triad, so you may only be able to pick it up there or possibly online through Annixter, who owns Triad, or Triad directly, or one of the other million companies that have been bought out that are all owned by that same group. I didn't get the warranty on this, but I'll post it right here to tell you what it is. And I had mentioned before it's probably made in China or something like that. I'm not sure if that made through the final edit, but I just noticed on the box it says made in the USA. So I'm wondering if that's assembled in the USA or the container's made in the USA. I know that I've bought a couple Northern DVRs before, and they were coming from overseas, and they took forever to get here because they were having a dock workers strike at the time. So recap on the power supply, it looks like it's going to do its job. I'm going to install it here in the next couple of days, and it should be good to go. Recommended if you're looking for 8 output power supply.